Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Boy Isai, we're holding by the Mishnah. Ayin Tes, Amud Beis. Dam Temimim Bedam Balimumin. We already had this, and the Gemara is going to ask why we need another case. If the blood of a good carbon, a tamim carbon, got mixed in with the blood of a balmum, an animal that has a blemish and you cannot put it on the mizbeach, yishabech la'amo. You have no choice but to pour it out into the drainage system in the azara. Kois bekoisos. There's individual kalim, cups that are holding the blood. Many good, one bad. If you sprinkle the blood of one of the cups, yikrivu kol hakoisos. Rebbe Lezer holds, because midaraisa, there's a bittul beroiv. You have 1 cup in 10 cups. What's the halacha if you find a piece of meat? 1 out of 10 stores. One out of 10 stores is treif. We say it's okay, the meat. It's bittul. There's a bittul beroiv usually in the Torah. You have 1 cup and 10 cups, let's say. So it's bittul beroiv. So with the rice, you should be able to sprinkle it. So if somebody went ahead and didn't listen, didn't know, sprinkled the blood of 1 cup, we are going to assume that 1 cup that was sprinkled is the bad cup. The rest of the cups are all good. Where do we have this? We had word for word. If there was a bunch of heads of animals, 1 was from a balmum, the rest were regular oilas. A person put a head on the mizbeach, so you can continue putting the heads on the mizbeach. What do we say? How do you put the heads on the mizbeach? 2 at a time. 2, 2, 2. So the same thing with this would be 2 at a time, as the Gemara is going to explain. So why do we need another case? They're like pessimists. We have to be concerned that maybe even if all the cups went onto the mizbeach, they were sprinkled, perhaps the last cup, that's the bad one. And if that's the bad one, you can't put it onto the mizbeach. Here we go. We have the red line. Above the red line, when it comes to animals, there's only 1 animal, 1 carbon that goes above the red line, and that is the chatas. Below the red line, all the korbanos. So let's say an oila and a chatas got mixed up. The blood of the oila and the chatas got mixed up. Now, what goes first, Rabbi Isai? If you have 2 cups, you're 1 kohen, you're the only kohen in the azara, and there's 2 cups of blood. One is a chatas, one is a oila. Which one should go on the mizbeach first? Which one should you perform the welcome back? Which one goes first, Rabbi Isai? Why chatas? Where did you get that from? From the Rashi, art scroll. I also know how to read the art scroll in the Rashi. I would say if you don't know, I would say oila. I don't know. It goes to Hashem. Kulil Hashem should do the oila first. Chatas mechaper. So chatas goes first. Chatas goes first. So you're supposed to do the upper bloods before the lower bloods. He says, go ahead and put the blood over the red line, above the red line. The problem is, how can you do that? If you put the blood that belongs above the red line, below the red line, what's the halacha? Pasul. Carbon is pasul. You have to start all over again. You take the bloods that belong below the red line, you put it above the red line, what's the halacha? Pasul. Pasul. So now, what are you doing? Why are you taking blood from an oila and pouring on top of the red line? Because there's a little bit of blood of a chatas in there. But the problem is there's oila blood also. How can you go ahead, lichatchila, go ahead and pour the blood of the oila on top of the red line when it doesn't belong there? So, says Rabbi Eliezer, this is a concept that we saw over and over in the last few days. V'roye ani, I pretend and I say to myself, what belongs below the red line, the oil of blood, what I'm sprinkling now, Hashem, forgive me, I'm not trying to perform an avodah here. I'm not trying to sprinkle oil of blood. I'm washing down the mizbeach with water. I'm sprinkling water at the mizbeach. Yiddishkeit is in the head. It's what my machshava is. My machshava is, the part that's oila is water. The part that's chatas, that's the part that I want to throw on top of the red line. And then what do? V'yachzor v'yitin lamato. And then you repeat part of the process. You go ahead. Now you have blood that's mixed. Oila, chatas blood. Chatas does not belong below the red line. Oila blood does belong below the red line. So you sprinkle the blood below the red line. Question, do I have to say to myself, Ki'ilu royin, that the chatas blood that I'm sprinkling below the red line is water? It doesn't say it in the Mishnah. Why not? Why not?
Because you're right.
What did Ariel say? Ariel said, the chatas belongs below the red line anyway. Whatever's left over from the sprinkling of the chatas, you have to pour where? Right over there where the oila is sitting in this picture. Right behind them are two holes. You have to pour. So pour over there, do a zrika right above it, and everything will go into the shirayim. So it's not, you don't have to start thinking, oh, it's water, it's not water. The chatas blood, I'm throwing a shirayim. The oila blood, I'm doing a zrika, and I'm yoytze. No, it's not a good eitzah. The whole thing, yishavach la'ama, pour it into the drainage system. Question, are we talking about a behema or a oif over here? Because a bird, the oila bird goes above the red line. And a chatas bird goes below the red line. It's the reverse when it comes to birds. So are we talking about birds or a carbon? We're talking about an animal here. How do I know? How did I know? You can't answer anymore. You're done for the day. Hold on, if nobody else knows, there's a kli over here. We're talking about a kli. It's in a kli. So bird, there's no kli in a bird. No, you take the bird itself and you go, you squeeze, you do mitzu, you sprinkle, but there's no keli. So Mela, the Mishnah is talking about an animal. If he didn't ask a question, it's interesting. There's a lot of this kind of lashon in this Masechta. He didn't go to the Rav and ask what to do. He did it anyway. Kosher. It is kosher. What's kosher? The top one is kosher. Says the Gemara, the Mishnah. More cases of mix-up. Oh, Rabbi Isai, what kind of carbon do you only give one sprinkle of hazah? What kind of carbon? This is 4. These are 1. Pesach, Meiser, and Bechor. One sprinkle. Let's say a Bechor got mixed up with the Meiser. They only need one zrika. Where? Below the red line or above the red line? There's only one carbon that you go above the red line. That's a chatas. So it's all below the red line. And all you need to do is one zrika. So it got mixed in. The two bloods got mixed. That's not a problem. Give it one sprinkle, and you yaitza both. Matan arba. Let's say you mix up an oil with a shlamim. Matan arba. So go ahead and sprinkle it 4 times. But what's the problem? The problem is matan arba b'matana achas. If you have a bechar which only needs 1 hazah and an oila that needs 4 and they get mixed in together, what do? Now you're stuck. If you do 4, that's Bal Taisef. You can't do more than necessary. If you had a bechar and you went around with the bechar, instead of doing 1, you went around and did 4, you'd be over Aveira, Bal Taisef. And if you do less than 4, then you'll be over on Bal Tigra. Matan arba. You know what's matan arba? Matan arba maton achas. What does he say? You're looking no. You know what's matan arba. If lechatchila to go ahead and say I'm only doing 1 because I'm yoytze, that's about tigra. You're over about tigra. If you did it lachar ma'isa, then you say, okay, I was yoytze. Even if you're yoytze. Rabbi Shua Imer Yinosu Matonachas. Amar le Rabbi Lezer Harei Hu Oiver Al Bal Tigra. Here's the pasuk. They're both in the same pasuk. Eis kol hadovar asher noichi mitzav eschem oisoi sishmur la'asois lo yisoisef alav. Everything I told you to keep, you should. How do you say tishmur? Not watch. Observe. Lo yisoisef alav. Don't add. Lo yisigra mimenu. And don't detract. So, Omer Rebbe Eliezer, as I said, Harei Oiver al Bal Tigra. Rebbe Eliezer tells Rabbi Yeshua, how can you do one if you're being over on an Issa Deraisa? The Torah says you should do 4 and you're doing 1. Omer Rabbi Yeshua, Harei Oiver al Bal Toisef. But how can you do 4 when the Bechar only requires 1 and you're adding to it? That's Bal Toisef. Omer Rebbe Eliezer, he says very good. L'nemer Bal Toisef elo kishu ba'atzmai. If the blood was all by itself, you took the Bechar blood and you sprinkled it 4 times, you're over on Bal Toisef. You take a lulav, you shake it on Pesach, you're on Bal Toisef. But over here we have a mixture. And what I'm sprinkling on the Mizbeach is not the Bechar. I'm trying to sprinkle 4 of the Oila. That's not a problem. It's interesting because it's really Rabbi Yeshua that started up with Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Eliezer is like answering to him about Tigra. But Rabbi Yeshua took this personally. He said, you're telling me I'm over about Tigra? It's not about Tigra. The only time, if you took something that requires 4 zrikas like an oil and you did 1, that's about Tigra. But the reason why I did 1 is because there's a bchar involved over it. Well, then Rabbi Yeshua says, Rabbi Yeshua, Kishonasato, Avarta about Toiseva, Sisa Masabiyotcha. This is the concept in the Torah. Sheval Taisa Adif. What does that mean? If you have a dilemma and you could do something or not do something, it's better not to take action. Don't do anything. Sit back. You didn't do it, so you didn't do it. When you do 4, you took action with your hands. You literally took action against what the Torah said. When you do 1, you're not taking action. It's a lack of action. You're sitting back. You're not going to do more than 1. You're right. Let's say these lavim are equal. One is don't add, and one is don't detract. Rather do the don't detract, or because you're not doing anything. You didn't take action. Okay, so this is Chazarah now. We have a freebie. Rabbi Eliezer said that bringing the blood on the Mizbeach, if you already poured 1 cup, is when you do afterwards. 1 cup went on the Mizbeach, so now you bring 2 at a time. Why? Because when you bring 2 at a time, one of them is 100% good. One of them for sure is 100% kosher. It's 1 cup that's not good. So if one of them is 100% kosher, then the other one is also kosher. What do you mean? Because it's left hand. Yeah. 2 kohanim, or you grab it. They have handles. You go like this. It's probably better because then they both come out together. You should not put it on the mizbeach 1 at a time. Moser Avdimi. Afilu karvukul, and the same question we had on the head. It says in the Mishnah, Afilu karvukul chutz me'echad ma'mishavach la'ama. If we did zrika to all the bloods and one of them is left over, we assume the one that's left over is the bad one. Don't pour it in the mizbeach, pour it into the amma, into the drainage. So what do you see? What do you see? The Chacham say that if there's 1 left, don't put it on the Mizbeach. And what does Rebbe Eliezer hold? He argues and he says, you do, even though there's 1 left. You don't need 2, 1 is enough. That's his name. Rabbi Yirmiyah's name is Bar Tachlifa. So it's like, Rabbi Yaakov, it could have said, Omer Rabbi Yaakov li Bar Tachlifa. It says, Omer Rabbi Yaakov li Rabbi Yirmiyah, Bar Tachlifa. The Gemara is telling us, he told Rabbi Yirmiyah, but what did he tell him? He didn't call him Rabbi Yirmiyah, he called him Bar Tachlifa, the son of Tachlifa. Azrach, let me explain it to you. My echad, zug echad. It was 1 pair. So why do I need blood and heads? It's the same exact halacha. Even the answer of the Gemara that 1 means a pair. By the head, how do you get to a head? How do you put a head on the mizbeach? It means that the step before that, there was blood. And the blood went onto the mizbeach. We know that the final step in kapara is the zrikas adam. That's the matter. That allows you to put something on the mizbeach. So there's already a kapara. The owner of this animal already got a kapara. Weitergegangen. So now the child is to put on the mizbeach. Yeah, you put it on. Yeah, and again, chazer. Midaraisa, so you can put it on. It's batal b'roiv. There's a little problem. Okay, so you put it on. You already got a kapara. But when it comes to blood, where there's no kapara yet, this is the blood that's causing the kapara. Even by the Rabbana, maybe the mitzvah Rabbana that you shouldn't put on the mizbeach. And if we only say it by the blood. Then it's just the reverse. This is why Chachamim say that you shouldn't put it on the Mizbeach because there's no kapara. But when it comes to the heads, maybe they hold that you could put it on the Mizbeach. Tzricha, great. Not awesome. So we have a beautiful sugi here. You have a kli that contains special mayon water from a spring, mixed with ashes. And anybody that becomes tummy, in the time that we had a paraduma, you go to Levaya, you next to the mace, you become mace, whatever it is, you have to get sprinkled. On the third day, on the seventh day, a whole process, mikvah, but you need to get sprinkled. This guy, he's making good money over here. People come to him. Obviously, you're not allowed to ask for money, but they get donations and all sorts of things. He's running out. So he goes to the sink and he fills up a little bit. Now the sink obviously is no good. It's puzzle water into this water. What do you do? This is fascinating. Usually you get sprinkled once. Repeat the process. Give him one more sprinkle. What's pshat? How does it make it? Why? Why twice? Maybe you should sprinkle 6 times more. If one doesn't work, why would 2 work? What's the connection between? How do you add one more and now it's good? You have a big kli. So we have to. So the Gemara breaks it down into small parts. It's unbelievable. The Chachamim Paislam. And Chachamim say, forget about it. You're out of luck here. You poured water from the sink. That's it. Nobody's tar anymore. You got to start over. Now, what does bila mean? This is Givaldik. Check this out. This is the Yesh Bila. Bila means that if you mix something up, if you introduce liquid into anything, like, where do we have this? By Korban Pesach. We said there's 1 million karbanas in the Chazarah. 1 carbon, the blood fell in there. It got mixed into all the 100 million gallons. Why? Because microscopically, that's how liquids work. They spread out everywhere. So here we go. We're talking about mechatos. You have the para aduma water and mayim mineralium, it says here. Mineral water from the sink. Let's see what happens. Mad scientist. There's a lot of cows. Every molecule is built from mechatos, cows, and 1 horse. Every single molecule, every single drop of water is going to have that. So what does it look like over here? Every single blue has a tiny bit of red in it. Every single drop. That's Yesh Bila. There's a mix. You can't get away from it. It's everywhere. Mimela what? So Rabbanan must hold Yesh Bila. There's a mixture in every drop. V'hazah tzricha shir. But at the end of the day, you need a certain amount. Let's say you need 10 milliliters to be yaitza hazah. There's a shear. There's a machlokes now if there's a shear or not a shear. Let's say you need at least 10 milliliters. The problem is that your 10 milliliters, you filled up a glass of 10 milliliters, but 25% of that glass is going to be puzzle water because yesh bila. There's a mixture. So when I sprinkled him, if I sprinkled him exactly the 10 milliliters, I didn't get enough in there. So what are you going to do? Sprinkle them again. They don't combine. You can't combine sprinkles. You got to get them on one sprinkle. Elamais, you're going to say, sprinkle the whole thing. Yeah, maybe. But I can't go. I have to say, what if I do the normal sprinkle, 10 milliliters? It's not good. And to add another one is also not good. So we have 3 things here. First of all, yesh bila. First of all, there's a mixture. Once there's a mixture, that tells me that in every single sprinkle, this bad water. This bad water, then it's not a kosher sprinkle. I need a minimum of 10 milliliters. Let's say there's no shear. Let's say I don't need a shear. So then it would work. Because Adarabba, in every sprinkle there's a little bit of good, even if it's 25% good, and there's no shear. It could be a tiny drop. As long as one little drop hit me, I'm kosher. But there is a shear. And there's a mixture. And you can't combine two different sprinkles. Mamela, possible. Now that's Chachamim. But what does Rebbe Eliezer hold? We have a big problem here. Elo Rebbe Eliezer, Micah Sover. Let's do this together. Ika Sover ain't bila. If he holds that there's no mixture, he mazish shtei hazois mehavi. So what happened? Every drop could be in its own drop. You have drops that are red, drops that are blue. They're not combined. They didn't. Under the microscope, you're not going to see a mixture. They're separated. Mimela. It's possible that when I sprinkled you, I got you with red dots only. There's zero blue. So what are you going to tell me? Do it again. I did it again, and I hit you again with only red. Who told you I ever got you with a little blue? That's if you hold that that they don't combine, that they don't mix together. Maybe he got him from sink water only. So obviously, Rebbe Eliezer must admit to Chachamim that everything mixes in together. Okay, so we got step one. He holds yesh bila. Now, what's the next step? Next step is, does he hold that you need a shear? He doesn't hold that you need a shear. You don't need a shear? You don't need a shear? One azah obviously contains a little bit of kosher water, and you're yaitza. Why do I need two? Elaka savar hazat tzricha shear. So now, step by step, we just proved he must hold, you need a shear. Great. Because savar aim start from the hazais. So then what's the next problem? You must say that he holds that they don't combine, because if they combine, then just do it twice and finished. Elamai, they don't combine. So if they don't combine, what do you gain by doing it twice? They don't combine. And even if they do combine, who told you that after 2 times you're going to get 10 milliliters? Maybe it's going to take you 6 times to get 10 milliliters. Okay, so now we have 3 tirutzim. Let's just see them balpeh real quickly. Teretz number 1 is, Rebbe Eliezer holds it does mix, and you do need a shear. It's what Rebbe Ariel was saying. That there's not a lot. It's exactly the amount, kosher and not kosher. And Memela, in order to do a good hazah, you have to use it all up. You have to give him 2 hazahs. That's one pshat. Dach pshat in kilo. Rava says yes, there is bila. And you don't need a shear. You don't need a shear. So why do you have to do it twice? You know why? Because we punished you. Not because you really need twice. 1 is enough. Every drop has enough. Just I don't want you filling up from sink water. I want you to use it all up. I want you to do it another time. And finally, Rav Ashi says, no, there's no mixing. And Azah doesn't need a shear. But in order to get to the shear, for me to know that I for sure got you, I have to do it twice, because maybe there's no bila. There's no mixing. So the first one, maybe I didn't get at all. The second one, that's why you have to do 2. Omer Shlakish. Loilam yesh bila. We hold that all the water combines, vazat tzricha shear, and you do need a shear. That's why by just giving him 1 zetz, it's not enough. Why? Because you need a shear. You need 10 milliliters. You're right that in every drop there's kosher water, but it's not enough. I need a good amount. I need 10 milliliters. Here, I don't know what he did here. Why he did so much? Are you showing that he used it? Hold on. What is this? No, here. This is what we want to get to. Want to get to that this is, let's say, the shear. This is what he had left. Fine, there's only a certain amount in the glass. The exact amount of the shear that you need. There's 10 milliliters. Rabbi said 10 milliliters in the bowl. And he put a little bit of sink water. So in order to be yaitza, in order to get him with all 10 milliliters, I have to dunk it twice. Interesting. And if there's 3 times, so 3 times. Like, okay, it's interesting. Why 2? Rava Amar, and Rava says, Lo'ilam yesh bila. I agree to Rish Lakish's bila. I disagree that you need a shear. You don't need a shear. So if you don't need a shear, you should be yaitza with 1. Oh. Who knows? The country Rabbanon. We don't want him to benefit from the sink water, so we tell him to do it again. Rav Ashi Omar, Ein Bila. He holds, Rav Ashi holds, there's no shear. There's no shear. And there's no Bila. There's no Bila either. So Memela, but there's no shear. So as long as I get you with 1 tiny drop, it's okay. So on one time, I'm going to say maybe I didn't get you at all with the drop, but there's no shear and there's no. The second time, that's why I tell you to do it twice to make sure it happens. You're asking me maybe twice in a row. Yeah, I hear. Meisvei. So now we have Kasher and Rish Lakish. What does Rish Lakish say? Just the 2 green ones. There is Bila and Azot Tzarch Shir. So I'm going to ask you. It says Mefurish not like that. It says Rebbe Yomi. Rebbe explains. The Divrei Rebbe Eliezer explains Rebbe Eliezer. This is to explain Rebbe Eliezer. This chart right over here. Rish Lakish is explaining what's the sheet of Rebbe Eliezer. He holds Yesh Bila. That's why I need to hit him twice. Azot Kosher says Azot Kosher Mitaris. All you need. There's no shear. It says Mefurish. No shear. Where does it say no shear? Hazah Kosher Mitaris. There's no 10 milliliters. A kosher, even a little drop. Hazah in tzricha shear. Oh, like what Rava says. This Rebbe lines up with the Rava. Rava lines up with the Rebbe. Hazah in tzricha shear. He does not. Rish Lakish does not line up with the Rebbe. He was a Tana. Hazah mechza kosher, mechza pasel. If you have 50% kosher, 50% non-kosher, it's okay. So that's problem number 1 with Rish Lakish. And now a question on Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi at the end. He says, Ein bilan azah, ein tzarch shir. Says Mefurish, Hanitanim l'malish and itzar v'nitam l'mata. This is a brayso. You have the blood of a chatas, let's say with the oila, you're supposed to put above the red line and below the red line. They both got mixing together. Beautiful question. What does Rebbe Eliezer say? Take the blood and start from the top. That's where a chatas always starts. You take it from the top, you sprinkle it. The chatas, you yaitza for hitting on top. The oila, you say, it's water. And then you do the same thing on the bottom. As the Gemara Bam question, V'yamar saying Bila, look at Rav Ashi, he says, he's the only one out of the 3 that says that microscopically it doesn't mix in. So what happened? You sprinkle the water on top of the red line, maybe you only sprinkled oil of water, blood. Maybe you only sprinkled below the red line, chatas blood. How do you know you're yaitza at all? There's no mixture. Maybe all the oil of blood went to the bottom, and all the in the kli. Didn't mix in well. V'yamar saying Bila, amay oiloi dilma k'yovel l'mato, v'tachtonim l'mato. L'malo. It says the Gemara, you're going to Iker Ruba El Yoinim, very, very simple. Look, we actually had a thing. Hold on, I'll do the sponsor in a second. Take a look. Here's the blood of the chatas belongs above the red line. The blood of the oila belongs below the. So now they got mixed in. And what did he do? He poured, and it's a mixture of red and blue. He goes ahead and pours the blood. As the Gemara maybe only poured blue out of the kli. Who said there's no mixture? Ain't bila. You, according to Rav Ashi, you hold it doesn't mix in. So maybe punked, you got the blue on top and the red on the bottom. So he says what happened was in this kli, you see 4 lines of blue and 8 lines of red. Okay? There's 4 parts blue, 8 parts red, whatever that means. Okay? Yeah. So what happened was he poured onto the mizbeach he poured 5 parts of this kli. By pouring 5 parts, he for sure got the 4 parts of the oila and 1 part of the chatas. There's no way he didn't do 1 part chatas because he poured on the mizbeach more blood than the oila has in that kli. He puts above the red line enough, all the oila, whatever the oila is. Let's say the oila has 40 milliliters, he does 50 milliliters. So he did 40 plus 10, so he obviously got 10 milliliters of chatas blood on top of the red line. As the Gemara, this is a big question, but it says mefurish that when you're done with the top, what do? You go to the bottom, and you get credit for putting the oil of blood below. But if you did 50 milliliters above the red line, that could include 100% of all the oil of blood, 40 milliliters of oil of blood, and it all went above the red line. So you had no oil of blood left for below the red line. Says Gemara, No, you didn't understand. Alaloi, you got credit for l'shem shirayim. You're supposed to pour shirayim on the bottom, the chatos on the bottom. You get zero credit for the oil, which is a tremendous daichak to me. To me, when I read it, it says alaloi, like you get credit for the oil and the chatos. No, you read it wrong. Tashma. And so we have the same question in a different variation, 3 times in a row. It's like Chazarah almost. Same answer also. Tashma. It says in the Bryce, that Bryce over there. Let's say he put the blood on the bottom. He has a mixture. Oil blood, chatas blood, puts it below the red line, doesn't ask a question to the Rav. Rebbe Lezer Oimer, you should repeat and do the same thing on top. And he gets credit for the bottom one. The problem is, Ein Bila, if you hold, Ein Bila, like Rav Ashi says, that is no mixture, the blood doesn't mix. Maybe everything you put below the red line was blood that belongs above the red line. It doesn't mix well. Yeah, you're right. It's talking about that he put more blood than the other one has, and he was yaitza. It says that he gets credit for the bottom one. L'shem shirayim. The only credit he gets is for shirayim. Tashma. If he put it above the red line, he didn't ask a question. Rabbanon and Chachamim hold that he should go ahead and pour it on below the red line, because below the red line you could be yaitza for shirayim. And you get credit for the above the red line and below the red. So what's the question? If Ein Bila, it doesn't mix in microscopically, so maybe what you put above the red line was oil blood. Same teretz. He put enough above the red line, which obviously includes a little bit of the chatas blood. It says that he gets credit for both. Does it say that Chachamim and Rebbe Lezer agree? No. What should you do? You should pour it in both. You should continue. You should put it on the bottom. You should put it on the bottom. Say basan l'rabbanan d'amri yesh bila, and memela, it comes out that it's only according to Rabbanan that hold that there is a mixture, but according to Rebbe Lezer holds that they don't mix in together. Then you get credit only for one. You get credit for the chatos, and you're gonna have to bring another oila. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDAF.com.